Michael Seidenberg, and together with Anna Miller, I organize the artist talks, concerts, take care of the residency programs at the Institute for Computer, Music and Sound Technology here at the Zurich University of the Arts. We are very honored to welcome Anna Longo to tonight's ICST Artist Talk. As a philosopher working at the intersection of art and technology, Anna Longo brings, I think, a unique perspective to the contemporary discourse. Anna has obtained a PhD in aesthetics philosophy at University Paris 1 and is currently program director at the Collège International de Philosophie in Paris. She has had different teaching positions at institutions such as the University Panthéon-Sorbonne and CalArts in Los Angeles, and gives currently also a seminar at Mines Telecom to future engineers about artificial intelligence. Research traverses metaphysics, epistemology, and aesthetics, and reflects a deep engagement in philosophical dimensions of art and technology. Recent publications include Le jeu de l'induction, automatisation de la connaissance et réflexion philosophique, which was published at Mimesis in 2022. And more recently, Deleuze in philosophie de la multiplicité at Ellipses, which was published in 2024. I recently read Le jeu de l'induction, and I was particularly impressed by their exploration of how automated systems like artificial intelligence challenge our conception of knowledge. And Longo questions whether algorithmically derived predictions constitute genuine knowledge or are merely optimized data for efficiency. I think that for an institute like the ICST, it's crucial to understand philosophical thoughts and the implications of these systems, and like to answer questions that I hope Anna will ask for us. Yeah, I think Anna really invites us to critically reflect on these emerging realities and emphasizes the importance of thoughtful and human-centered dialogue at the intersection of technology, culture, and creativity. Please join me in welcoming Anna. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Mika, for this generous introduction, and also for this invitation. I'm really pleased to be here to think together about artificial intelligence. So I'm not just explaining everything. I'm just problematizing the situation. No? So I think that yes, for philosophy, what is important is to construct problems. No. Not to provide solutions. So I will try to construct the problem to discuss at the end of the relation between artistic practice and artificial intelligence. Yeah, that will be at the end. But yes, before we have to start a little bit to introduce this impressive force of artificial intelligence, which is transforming many domains like healthcare, finance, and education, and of course it's also transforming the way of producing art. So we know that artificial intelligence is now able to produce original images, but also novels, also scripts for movies, and also music. So these technologies provide new creative possibilities, but of course there are also serious challenges for artists, for the consumers, and for the cultural industry as a whole. However, I think that the risk which are entailed, but also the opportunity which are entailed with development of artificial intelligence do not take into account another dimension, which I think is a more profound dimension, which is the cultural turn in which these technologies are embedded. So for this reason, I think I will discuss first a little bit this, what we can call a new ontological turn. And I think that artificial intelligence is a consequence of this ontological turn. So by ontological turn, I mean that we are no more in the classic scientific view, according to which anything can be reduced to matter and energy. But following the insights of cybernetics, we are entering a new understanding of reality, where anything can be modeled as a pattern of information. So to understand the revolution of artificial intelligence, we have to situate artificial intelligence within a more profound transformation of our way of conceiving beings. So anything can exist, can be modeled as a structure of information, as a structure of bits. So the idea is not totally new. It has been elaborated since cybernetics, so since the 50s, more or less. It appears, for example, in Norbert Wiener essay. And I think the first person who really made a complete theory is John Wheeler. So John Wheeler is a physician. He's well known for his works on the wave function in quantum physics. He's also the person who discovered the black holes. So he's a serious person. But he's also the person who introduced this formula, which is it from bits, to express the idea that the phenomenal reality is the effect of the interaction among structures of information. So everything is basically information, and what we see, our experience, is just the result of the interaction between informational structures and ourselves, and we are informational structures. So today, this view that everything is information, basically, has many supporters. There are many different kind of schools about this theory. For instance, Luciano Floridi, who is a philosopher teaching in Oxford, proposes that reality itself is best conceived not as composed of material substances, but of informational structures. And so these structures of information are the basic building blocks of reality of being. So anyway, this is evident in some way if we consider that by the means of information we can reproduce any kind of object independently of its material support. For example, we have images, music, text, and we can simulate any kind of physical phenomenon, for example, atmospheric phenomenon, so we can make models of the behavior of the atmosphere. And finally, as we see in video game, we can slip into an avatar and interact with virtual objects as they were real ones. So if these things are possible, is because any phenomenal manifestation can be considered as the effect of a structure of bits. And any object, anything can be reproduced digitally, so as a digital structure. So a digital structure is a way to make a model of reality, which works. So the images, for example, what you see on the screen, are made of bits, and the phenomenal effect, so what we see, is the result of the interaction between our cognitive apparatus and the data structures. And of course, our brain too is modeled as a network that elaborates the information coming from sensory experience. So we are also information structures, And we treat the information coming from the environment in order to adapt our behavior. So the interaction, of course, with digital structure is not limited to the screen, but it's invading the whole space. So for example, today we can transmit information to concrete objects. So for example, we can communicate with the air conditioning system, and of course with all the intelligent objects. So we are in this kind of network of communication, not only when we are in front of a screen, but in everyday life. So we are informed by our object as much as we inform our own objects. So there is an ongoing communication between us and our objects. And this is because everything is conceived as a structure of information. So the epistemological possibility is this conception of reality. So as Floridi notes, while physical reality at the beginning included the cyberspace as something specific, included in material reality, today the cyberspace is expanding to encompass the whole of reality. So according to Floridi, the world has become an infosphere. And the infosphere is the environment made up of all the information processes. So everything is the infosphere, not only the space of the transit of data. So in the infosphere, which now corresponds to the entire universe, each thing is an information structure, and as such it is interactive. So from this perspective, everything is endowed with agency, and it is a participant in the global network. And in this global network, different actors communicate to reciprocally adapt their behavior. So it's a network, and in this network, all the beings are called by Floridi inforgs. So information structures whose activity is basically communication. And humans, of course, are included in this category of the inforgs, along with objects, plants, animals, and software. So everything is an inforg, and everything is endowed with agency. They can communicate and adapt. There is a reciprocal adaptation of behavior. So within the ontology we described, also sound can be modeled as a structure of bits. And this modelization allows for new possibilities, of course, concerning the production and the transmission of music. So this modelization as information is different from the traditional musical notation. So the traditional musical notation allowed composers to encode music into symbols which were interpretable by musicians, by trained musicians. And the system, of course, many strengths. It was really useful, but it also had many limits. For instance, it catered primarily to Western classical musical forms. It depended on humans for interpretation and performance, and it did not easily accommodate non-pitched sounds or improvisation or more richer textures. So the 20th century introduced electronic and digital technology that fundamentally transformed music. So with the development of computers and digital audio formats, music began to be treated as data. So music here is no longer mediated through a symbolic system, but it is information. So it is recorded as information, and it is decoded by systems for treating information. So musical works became mutable data sets subject to manipulation, algorithmic transformation, and computational analysis. So there is no more difference between music and the recording. So it's information, or the system for notation, the transcription. So with the rise of artificial intelligence and machine learning, information is not only a medium for storing and transmitting music, but data has become a generative force. So artificial intelligence systems can now analyze large corpora of music and generate new composition in a variety of styles. So music becomes a flow of interactive data, and in this way, there is the lines between composition, performance, and listening are blurred. Music is now conceived as a sort of message, informational message, that can be continuously modulated to obtain specific effects. So this just for music, how sound is also a structure of information, and how this knowledge of sound as a structure of information allows for new manipulations and provides new opportunities. But of course, within the ontology of information, also living beings can be modeled as information structures. So in particular, living beings are considered as rules for treating information. So they are rules that treat the information coming from the environment, and the goal is to make decisions. So to decide what to do, to modulate the behavior, to adapt it to the environment. So living beings can thus be modeled as algorithms, basically. Of course, algorithms which are really complex and who exhibit a high degree of order. So we define the order of information, the order of a structure of information, as the efficacy of information with respect to a goal. So an order message is a message which is efficient, and an order algorithm is an algorithm who is really efficient in solving problems, given problems. So in this infosphere, so we have, which is a sort of flat ontology, so everything is reduced to the same ground. Everything is a structure of information. All these algorithmic structures are networked, and any structure operates on the information flows which are emitted by the others. So any algorithm or inforg is treating the flows of information coming from other entities, and the idea is to modulate its own behavior and the other structure's behavior. Behavior is the effect, we can say, of the process of information treatment. So behavior is manifest in the outputs that respond to certain inputs. So from this standpoint, behavior is fundamentally communication. So the behavior is the suite of the series of decisions that are made by an inforg. And in fact, when we are, for example, online, on social media, algorithm can understand a lot of things through our behavior, through the outputs that what we give. So behavior is communication, behavior is itself information, is an expression of information. So in the infosphere, any algorithmic structure or inforg is perceived by any other as a flow of information, so as a series of decisions, of outputs. So each of these structures is a sort of black box that manifests itself through the sequences of a decision, of the outputs. So we don't know exactly what is the algorithmic rule for treating the information, but we can try to guess what this rule is by observing the behavior. So how information is treated. So the correlation between the input and the output. And in fact, this observation of decision, of behavior, allows today to classify us. So to categorize humans based on the hypothesis regarding the rule of information, which is in our black box. So who we are, basically. So the knowledge of this rule allows, in fact, to predict the behavior. So once we know what is the rule that determines the correlation between the inputs and the outputs, we can predict the behavior. So we provide some information and we will know what the reaction will be, what the output will be. Communicating means having a power of influence, because if I know the rule, I can transmit the information which is meant to cause a determinate effect. Communication is a matter of modulate the behavior of the entities with which one interacts. So one provides some information to have some reaction, but also to make people do things or believe things. No, for example, if I say it's really hot inside, I mean, so please open the window. No, so communication as a transmission of information is this capacity also of modulating the behavior of the others. So the capacity of influence is higher in more orderly structures. So the power of influence is higher in the inforks who can communicate more efficiently. So the most ordered patterns of information are also capable of learning. So learning means that they can modify the decision making, the rules for decision makings, based on feedback. They can observe the result of their decisions, so they want to influence another informational entity, so to cause precise effects, and based on what happens, they can modify their hypothesis about the algorithmic rules, which is determining the behavior of the other entities. So these inforks who are capable of learning are capable also of modifying their hypotheses regarding the function of other inforks. So they can improve their strategy of influence. So for example, the algorithms who can learn are able to make always better predictions about our behavior, because they improve hypotheses about the rules that we are embodying. So the ability to learn, of course, is not given to all the structures of informations, and it characterizes the most complex and orderly one. The entities which are also equipped with a superior computing power. So for instance, we can consider humans as structures of information who are highly ordered, since, of course, we can learn how to affect the other structures through communication. And of course, this capacity of influencing other structures requires the capacity of modeling the other systems or rules for treating information. In this way, we can provide, the right inputs to obtain specific outputs. So although we are in an ontology where everything is equally a structure of information, information patterns can be ranked according to the degree of order. So there are differences among these structures of information depending on the order. So they can be classified from the more influential to the less influential, where are they the most ordered who can manipulate the less ordered in some way. So in this regard, Ray Kurzweil, Ray Kurzweil is now the engineer who is responsible for the development of artificial intelligence at Google, and he's also an inventor. He wrote many books, etc. And Ray Kurzweil describes natural evolution as a progressive emergence of increasingly orderly and complex information structures. So it says, okay, at the beginning of the history of evolution, we had just very simple information structures, and the history of evolution is this emergence of more complex and more ordered structures. The more ordered information structures can produce complex simulations of the lesser order infolks, so they can modulate their behavior. So for example, an animal is a pattern of information which is less ordered than a human, since a human can modulate the behavior of the animal. For example, we see it in the process of domestication, but also in the use of animals for work or for transport. By the same token, animals can use objects, for example, which are structure of information which are less ordered than the animal. So they can use it because they know how to manipulate it in some way, how the object will react. According to Ray Kurzweil, for the moment, humans are the most ordered information structures, not only because they can modulate the behavior of other entities in the infospheres, of course, but also because they are capable of learning. So humans learn to make even more adequate model of the structures of information they interact with. So thanks to information science, which is, we could say, the most developed hypothesis to understand reality, humans can make also models of themselves. So they can model themselves as structures of information. This, of course, allows for a better reciprocal manipulation, but it also allows for the construction of machines that simulate human reasoning. So the digital understanding of the existing entities as information structures allowed humans to open up new possibilities. And this includes, of course, the possibility of creating artificial informational beings. We can consider artificial intelligence now as the result of this way of modeling human beings as information structures, which allows for reproduce it in an artificial way. So humans also produce these artificial infolks, which do not differ essentially from biological ones. So they are infolks in the same way as the others are. Of course, the use of these artificial beings is to increase the power for computing. Increase the power of information processing. So this allows humans now to increase their own power of communication. Of course, on the one hand, we said these artificial informs do not differ essentially from the biological ones, but this also means that the algorithmic model is the model for everything, for the living beings. So the living beings are conceived as algorithms ourselves. We conceive ourselves as information structure, as very complex algorithms. So we can understand computing machines as the result of the algorithmic representation of a human brain, as well as instruments that augment the human capacity for treating information. So from this standpoint, artificial intelligence is the result of the algorithmic modeling of human reasoning, but it's also the instrument that allows for the artificial optimization of a human. So according to Kurzweil's evolutionary perspective, artificial intelligence would be the last stage of evolution. So not now, but it will be. So it is a supporter of a theory, the technological singularity. So it says, okay, the artificial intelligence is the emergence of a structure of information which is more ordered than the human. And because it's also capable of learning, so it's capable of evolving autonomously. So artificial intelligence would be, from this standpoint, the ultimate agent of innovation and progress. So now that we clarified a little bit this ontological term in which artificial intelligence is inscribed, we can also see some of the dangers which are implied in this conception of reality, which is a conception of reality as a global network where structures of bits interact to reciprocally influence their behavior. So in particular, we will try to understand to what extent this representation of reality, also scientific conception of reality, we could say, is compatible with artistic creation. So first of all, we have to note that within this interpretative framework, so this framework according to which everything is information, any action, anything we do is reduced to the production and the transmission of information. So everything is reduced to a problem of communication. And of course, it was something which was stated by the cyberneticians. So any problem is a problem of communication. So we only have to solve problems of communications. So for example, in societies, there are no political problems, no social problems, and just problems of communication. So we just improve the communication system, the transmission of information, and everything will be fine because any entity will be able to modulate the behavior of the other entities to adapt their reciprocal behavior, and we would have harmony, the perfect harmony. So from this view, everything is a problem of, just a problem of communication. So it's a matter of correctly modulating the reciprocal behavior. The idea for the cybernetician is that there is a history of evolution, which is also this history according to which the whole system is brought to a higher degree of order. So society is evolving to a higher degree of order. And of course, there is a sort of necessity in this kind of history. So this evolution of a species is bringing the whole network to a higher degree of order. Of course, the task of a human is to facilitate this improvement of order, so the evolution of a system. So we can say that also our technology, it's a way of creating, of increasing the general order of the whole structure, to facilitate communication. So from this standpoint, natural evolution is a series of responses to problems of communication, and the history of life consists in the improvement of the capacity to treat information. So life is seen as something which is developing against the entropic tendency toward disorder. And disorder, of course, is the state of entropy, but also the state where the patterns of information are corrupted or destroyed. So we cannot communicate efficiently in a state of entropy. So we have to resist against entropy. So from this perspective, computational devices and artificial intelligence are tools that allows for optimizing the human capacity for communication, so for improving the power of modulating the environment, according to their goals. And this goal is basically related to the increase of the general order, so to an improvement of communication. So my question is, can we consider artistic creation as a mere form of communication? So can we consider artistic creation as the production of messages, which has the function of causing desired actions? Reduce the ambiguities, quality in an artwork or in an artistic creation. So ambiguity is the noise, basically. So the fact that the information is not well ordered, and so it might fail to occasion the desired effect. So to answer this question about information and artistic creation, I would like to consider first the position of the philosopher Gilles Deleuze. So Gilles Deleuze said that as an act of creation, a work of art has nothing to do with communication, but it's rather an act of resistance against communication. So he's expressed this position in a conference, so it's a short text coming from a conference which was called What is an Act of Creation? This position, according to which a work of art has nothing to do with communication, is motivated by his understanding of communication as the transmission of order words. So he observed, in fact, that information, pieces of information are transmitted as instructions meant to be obeyed, and that are supposed to modulate the behavior of the receiver. So any transfer of information is an order, which is meant to be obeyed. So he said, okay, we are in this system, the society is organized and governed thanks to the transmission of information. As a creator, one has to resist against communication, against this programmed modulation. So he has to challenge these order words. So in our society that Gilles Deleuze called society of control, of course, this idea of societies of control comes from a discussion with Michel Foucault. So a society of control is the society which is coming after the disciplinary societies that Foucault describes in his work. So a society of control is a society which is characterized by a communication network, which is a system where the important thing is the regulation of the information flows. And of course, for Deleuze, an artwork does not consist in the transmission of order words because it's a sort of resistance against the power of the society of control. So a resistance against the programmed modulation of the information flows and also of the behavior of people in some way. So at the end of this conference, Deleuze concluded that, of course, a work of art is not communication, but it's rather a call on a missing people. So we will come back on this definition later. So in order to better understand this, we have also to make another small digression, also because Deleuze did not elaborate a full explanation, neither of a society of control nor of this mysterious sentence, that a work of art is a call on a missing people or an act of resistance against death. So in the remaining time, I would like to develop a little bit this Deleuzian intuition to see how artistic creation can resist against information at the time of artificial intelligence. So, of course, Deleuze did observe just the rising of a society of control. So he wrote these texts at the end of the 80s. So he didn't see artificial intelligence and the network society in which we are living. So there are some things that can be updated in some way. Anyway, he was convinced that information technologies and the cybernetic conception of reality, of society, so this cybernetic conception of reality is a sort of mega machine, networked mega machine. So he was convinced that all these things were bringing about a major transformation of the techniques for governing people, and also techniques for orienting people conducts. However, it did not live enough to see the full deployment of a society of control that we can see today. So it's thanks to the advancement of our computational devices for improving communication that the society of control developed. So, as we saw, information technologies and artificial intelligence are devices that allow humans to improve their capacity for treating information, and they are also actors in the network. So I think that Deleuze basically did not had the intuition that also human beings were transformed into structures of information. He was thinking that we were just connected with computers and systems for treating information, and we were just, our behavior were just modulated by them. What is happening, I think, today is also that we are participating into it. So we are also structures of information. So we are actors among other actors, and artificial informs are actors in the same networks. So there is no more, maybe because Deleuze conceived a sort of governmental techniques coming from the state, from a superior power. But I think that today this form of power is diluted, is kind of everywhere, and anybody is actually communicating order words to the others. There is no more a centralized structure or institution for the coding the order words, but it's kind of everywhere. The artificial it didn't see also this artificial info, so the artificial intelligence and the algorithmic technologies, which are conceived as optimized versions of a human. But in order to consider, of course, artificial intelligence as an optimized version of the human, we have also to consider the humans as machines to treat information. So we can say that on the one hand, the computational technologies are the expression of our desire to construct an optimized version of ourselves, some sort of simulacrum of the human. While on the other hand, artificial intelligence is the consequence of the human desire to objectify himself into an intelligible system. So we did this many times in history. For instance, at the time of Descartes, we had the representation of the living as a clockwork mechanism. At the time of thermodynamics, we have the model which was thermodynamics machines, and now the model is the machine for treating information. So we are trying now understanding ourselves through this model. This artificial intelligence is in some way the consequence of the human desire to objectify himself into a sort of device, no? And of course, artificial intelligence is the optimization of this device, of this technical device, because the advantage of objectifying human being in an object, in an intelligible system, is the possibility of improving it, no, in some way. So on the one hand, the artificial inforgs are devices or products that allows humans to increase their own agency. But on the other hand, these devices are tools that allows humans to construct themselves more efficient patterns of information. Information technologies allow us to be more similar to the model of an efficient computational machine, what we would like to embody. In some way, these technologies are informational products, so structure of information that we produce, which are artificial, but we produce them in order to produce ourselves as more efficient information structure. So we produce also ourselves as improved informational products by using these technologies. So one thing that I think is interesting to note today is that we are no more producers and consumers of information, but we are also the products themselves. So in this ontology, there is no difference between the producer of the information, the consumer of information, but also the informational products. So artificial intelligence is an informational product, and it allows to construct ourselves as products, informational products to be consumed. So we produce information to be consumed. So we see this, for example, on social media, in the industry of influencers, no? So they are patterns of information, they are informational products who are consumed as information. We have this identification between the producer and the merchandise. And technologies allow us to make of ourselves informational merchandises in the same way as technologies are. And of course, we cannot do most of our activities without the support of technology. So we need these products, and we need these products in order to be competitive as informational products. So to make good decisions. So the key of success is to augment the power of computation and to become structures of information which are more ordered, which are more desirable, no? That everybody needs to consume in the same way as they need to consume technological systems, no, in order to be operative in my daily life. In the same way, humans, we are competing against each other to be structures of information which are desirable in some way, but the other has to consume to improve our own performances. It is essential for us to rely on artificial influx to produce ourselves as improve, optimized products. But this also means that we consider progress and personal realization as related to the capacity of treating information more efficiently. And of course, we have to understand all this within a competitive framework, which is the competitive market for information. So basically, information is a merchandise. So information today is what is produced, is what is consumed, and is what is reproduced. So it's acting as a sort of capital, no, in some way. Because by using information, we reproduce new information. And there is this kind of productive cycle in the economy of information, which is a competitive one. In the industry, the goal is to produce more efficient, more ordered information structures. No? So they are the products that must be consumed. Consuming this information, we produce other information. For example, because we produce data, this data can be elaborated. The elaboration of data allows to improve the technologies. And so to produce new objects to be consumed. And this also, of course, if we want to be competitive, we have to use these new, more advanced technologies. Also because we are now in this competition, so we cannot stop. Otherwise, we are not competitive. So we are out of the game. So we need to produce ourselves always as renewed patterns of information, as new and more powerful informational products. We use these technological tools to construct ourselves as more competitive informational products according to this model of communicative efficiency. So not only artificial intelligence is a simulacrum of a human, but humans tend to become simulacra of artificial intelligence systems. So we aspire to make of ourselves desirable digital products, influential and useful structures of information. So we desire to impose ourselves on the market for information as really developed, improved information structures. And accordingly, we are asked to be creative. We are asked to constantly improve and renew our communication strategy. So the order words in some way are telling us to transform ourselves in some way, to develop our capacity for treating information, and so develop also our strategies, develop our own behavior. So we are no more adapting ourselves to given social roles, fixed social roles, but we are asked to be resilient, to adapt all the time, to transform ourselves all the time. Also because the value of information is relative to the novelty of information. So in order to have an economy of information which works, we have to produce all the time new information. So the news of yesterday has no value today. So an information structure that everybody knows, that everybody consumes, has no more value. So we have to renovate these information structures, and also ourselves as information structures. So in this society of control, the control is not the discipline, so it's not molding people into specific roles or specific identities, but is pushing people to adapt their behavior, to transform themselves, to invent new identities, new way of expressing themselves, their behavior, to be new and more efficient patterns of information that the others desire to consume, to improve their own behavior, their own strategies. So there is also this obsolescence of information. So if we want this economy of information to work, we need to produce new information in a sort of industrial way, which is also the industrial production of order words in some way, but order words with changes with respect to the situation. So this competition among structures of information stimulates and feeds the growth of the market for information. Of course, as information producers and informational products, we are also the resources of data that are essential for the learning process of the machines. By striving for augmenting our own power of influence, we also contribute to the augmentation of the power of influence of our artificial influx, of artificial intelligence. So algorithms are today capable of influencing our own behavior. And so they are tools which are used by humans to modulate the behavior of other humans. So accordingly, while using these information technologies, we are also contributing to the improvement of a system for producing and transmitting order words, and we are also producing ourselves as system for transmitting and producing order words, because we innovate our strategies, and by transforming our behavior, we transmit new order words. So we are so implied in this system for the transmission, the production, and the transmission of order words. And all this is for the sake of improvement of the growth of the industry for the production of information in itself, as if the history of evolution, the history of progress was just to improve this productivity in terms of information. So now to go back to the problem of artistic creation, we can say that artists do not escape the same logic, but also philosophers, it's difficult to escape the same logic. So artists are basically considered as information producers that, like all the other information producers or inforg, must use the most sophisticated tools for increasing their power of computation, and in this way to improve the efficacy of information that they produce. So also to augment the value of the informational products that they are, that they embody as a sort of brand, as a sort of creator of information. This influence of this efficacy is relative to the power of affecting the other information structures to cause a desired state. So, for instance, to produce a piece, which has the effect of creating a certain mood, a certain feeling in a person, or a particular atmosphere. So in this framework, not only artists compete against each other for imposing themselves as the most valuable brands for information production, but they also compete against the technological devices that they use to improve their own creativity. As we said, any new informational product is also a set of data that allows for the development of artificial intelligence. So artists are also contributing by creating to the development of artificial intelligence, which is becoming a sort of model, the ultimate model of the creator in terms of efficiency in information production. So artificial intelligence is emerging as the ultimate and more ordered model for producing art, as the ultimate and more competitive informational product on the market for information. And of course, in this framework, so from the standpoint of this ontology of information, artistic production is not essentially different from any other kind of information production. So the difference is the goal, the kind of effect that one wants to produce in the other. It can be an aesthetical effect, a sensible effect, rather than another one. So, and of course, one consider in this framework, art is considered as a message. An artwork in any form is considered as a sort of message who is suitable for causing a particular reaction. So, for example, if we see the movies on Netflix, you have a list of the effects that you want to be produced on you by the movie. And a good movie, is a movie which is actually effective, in producing a particular state. So we want to be thrilled by a movie, or we want to be moved, etc. And we choose the right product. But of course, to be able to produce this information, which is efficient in causing the desired reaction, one has to carefully listen to the feedbacks, because we need to adjust the production, to adapt it, to modulate our own behavior in order to transmit the right information. And this is a process of learning, so we need to be careful to listen to the feedbacks. But the feedbacks are also a way in which our behavior is modulated. So the feedback are order words in some way. And in particular for artists, there is this modulation which is made thanks to the system of evaluation, so the ranking. So we have a constant ranking for the producer, of all the kind of producers of information, of course. And there is a sort of ranking, and algorithms are classifying patterns of information with respect to the efficacy And so they are classifying the informational products, no, from the more desirable to the less desirable. And this evaluation constitute a feedback. No, if I see, okay, I'm really low in the ranking, I need to transform my behavior, to improve my rule for treating information in order to go to get a better position. This system for evaluation is modulating also the behavior of people. Creators has also to modulate their own behavior according to the order words which are transmitted from the system for evaluation. So there is this kind of game, in which the creators produce information to influence, to modulate the behavior of the others. So they produce order words for the others, but they are also receiving order words, in order to improve their strategies for producing order words. So it's no more a state of a central institution with determining which are the order words, how the behaviors have to be modulated. But everybody is doing this with respect to anybody else. So it's a sort of diffused transmission of ordered words, which makes much more difficult to escape from the situation. It seems to me that one of the main dangers in this situation is this reduction of artistic creation to communication. So the fact that artistic creation is reduced to the transmission of order words that are meant to obtain specific states in the receiver. And of course, artistic creation suffers more than ever of being modulated according to the goals of the industry for information production. So in this situation, it's getting harder to resist against communication, since anybody is made a transmitter of order words as well as a compliant receiver. So what would it mean then to resist against communication, as Deleuze suggested? So I don't think that it means to avoid using technologies for producing art or for producing music or for whatever. But I think that it means to avoid the transmission of order words. So to avoid considering that the value of a piece is relative to the capacity of causing a determinate effect. And of course, this task implies the capacity to liberate oneself from the subjection to the order words of evaluation that modulate the practices according to the model of the algorithm. So we are in some way pushed to assemble to efficient algorithm through the system of evaluation, because we are evaluated as we were informational patterns. So we find out that we have a better evaluation if we are more similar to an algorithmic system for producing information. So for this reason, I think that it's important to reconsider the role of the receiver. So in the communicational model that we described, a piece of art or a piece of music has a value which is relative to the capacity of producing the desired effect without ambiguity. So I watch that movie because I want to feel in that specific way, or I want to be reflected, in some way. And order information allows for minimal interpretation. So good information is not ambiguous. No, it's direct. It produces the desired effect. There is no noise. At the opposite, I think that artworks like paintings, novels, leave a great space for interpretation, but also musical script, right? Leave a great space for interpretation. So they are ambiguous messages in some way, some sort of prompts that allow for an imaginative performance of recreation. So, for instance, the reader of poetry has to fill the gaps. He has to actively participate into the construction of the text. It's not receiving an order word. So I read a poem, I don't know what to do, I don't know what it means. So from the standpoint of information, there is no information at all in poetry, but there is a value, no? Which is a possibility, for the reader to do some work, to recreate themselves, to make himself capable of an experience, of a new experience, to feel something he couldn't feel before. So, and every time this is also different, so it's not the same effect, but the value of an artwork is that anytime it produces a different effect, so it can last through the centuries, because anytime it's a new sort of actualization. On the opposite, information is always the same, in the sense that it's always the same effect, which respond to the same input. And for this reason, information is obsolescent, no? So once we use it, it's done. We cannot use it anymore. There is no more information in the formation that we know. Also for music, there is also this aspect of the interpretation of, so it can be played at different times in different ways. It can be reenacted, through centuries, without losing value, but renovating itself. But also because there is an ambiguity, in the notation itself. In a way, there are gaps, there are things that cannot be encoded precisely, and which leave space in some way for interpretation. While a message or a piece of information is the encounter of a stimulus that is designed to be immediately decoded by the receiving structure of information, an artwork is the encounter with something which is unexpected, that allows for enlarging the limits of sensibility and the limits of imagination. So the information which is effective is something which we can predict, it's predictable in some way. So a good message is I can predict that the person will understand the message. So I can predict the reaction. But when it's an artwork, I cannot. The reaction is unpredictable, so I want some unpredictable reaction. And this is also the reason, for example, why at the beginning some great artworks are not understood by people. So they are messages, people are ambiguous. It's difficult to interpret them, not to understand them in some way, because it's the encounter of something with something which is totally unexpected, So it's Deleuze said that artworks are novels are written in a foreign language, It's like we need to try to decode this message, which is written in a new form, in a new code, in some way. So as information in this sense, an artwork is not efficient information, because you need to reinvent a code. So an artwork makes us able to perceive what we were not able to perceive before, to see what we couldn't see, and what we couldn't here. On the contrary, the reception of information enhances the actualization of given possibilities, so do A or do B, while the encounter with an artwork opens to new possibilities. And in this sense, it is a transformative encounter. So in some way, we can say that it is the encounter with experience of a different world. So it's not a set of possibility which was given, but it's the encounter of a new possibility. So we discover a new experience. So we transform also our reality, our perception of reality. So there is this possibility of being somebody else, to put into question who we are, because we are able to make experiences in some way, or to feel something, but it was not already included in the algorithmic model that we were. So an artwork does not allow for becoming the optimized version of ourselves, but it allows for putting ourselves into question. And I think that it is in this sense that Deleuze concluded his paper on the creative act by stating that an artwork is a call on a missing people, and that an artwork is a call on a new conception of reality that put into question our everyday experience. So I think it's 7:20, I think, yeah, it was longer than I thought. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much for this.
Thank you for listening.
We have now some space for questions. You're very welcome to engage in discussion.
Thank you very much for the talk. Especially as a physicist, I was very nostalgic being brought from back to my education. I have two questions. The one a bit regarding to the definition of information, and how that then implies what basically a lot of notions which you gave actually mean. And the second is referring to the notion of artificial intelligence, and especially seeing it as an actor next to humans as an actor. The first thing, like the only definition of information I know is that channel information, which goes to or talks about like a ensemble of probabilities of reality, and a statement has more or less information in according to that. If I have a statement that the sun is not rising tomorrow, that's high information because it's very improbable, and that I can imagine. And I would be wondering, when you said that human being is an ordered structure of information, what would that mean in that sense of definition of information being, or the quantity of information of the statement is about its probabilities?
Yeah. So information. In Shannon is related to the message, information as a message. So of course, the value of information depends on the novelty of information. So this is the reason why it has to be improbable, meaning that what everybody knows has no value as information, because everybody knows it, so it's really probable. It's a message which is really, nobody will pay for information which everybody has. So we pay for information which is new, and which has a value, no? So it's telling something improbable, and that's why it's useful, no? Because in the idea of the reciprocal adaptation of behavior, of modulations of behavior, if I have an information from the environment which is really strange, I need to react. When there are information which are like routine information, everything is okay, everything is under control, I know how to react, etc. The problem is when there is something new, no? If we think of information structures, we can say that the value of information structures is relative to the novelty also. So if a person or an inforg is a structure of information which is more ordered, which is newer, it in some way determines for all the others the need to transform themselves, to adapt themselves. So if I introduce artificial intelligence in the game as an actor who is more efficient, so it's sort of new pattern of information, I force all the others in the network to adapt, because it's a new information. So in the market of information, we have to push this game. And to push this game means that we need to introduce anytime new information structures which has a value because they are less probable than the others. And these force everybody to produce new information, to transform themselves. Did I answer to?
It sounds more like you're talking about what we need to do as in the model of how people interact with the world in the form of information, but less what does it mean to be, like in an ontological sense, an ordered structure of information as a human. I'm not sure.
It means to be adapted from that kind of theory. It means to be adapted to the environment. So to be able to communicate, to exchange information with the environment. So an efficient structure of information is able to survive basically in the environment by treating information, so adapting the behavior to the situation.
And the second question concerning artificial intelligence. So like I take it more out of the current technological development that artificial intelligence is just a more, algorithm is just a more complex statistical model, right? And it's historically, you could say, you come from a simplest model of taking an average of the distribution of numbers, the average of our heights, and that's the statistical model. At which point you would call an artificial intelligence an actor, or a statistical model an actor, or at which point of the technology, like something happens which makes it more special than, let's say, taking the average of the heights of all the people?
Yeah. So I don't know if there is something which makes it more special. I think that it has an higher power of computational power, so it's faster. Then the problem for me is that we reduce people to an algorithm, and it's because we understand ourselves as algorithms that we are competing with artificial intelligence, because we put ourselves on the same on the same plane, on the same ground. So I don't think that artificial intelligence is more intelligent than people. I just think that we put ourselves in a competition where the standards are that of artificial intelligence. So we value the qualities in people which are similar to the qualities of artificial intelligence. So
it's a question of the definition of humans in the sense of information theory. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the lecture. I'm a guest here. I'm very thankful that I could be here to listen to the lecture. It was very inspiring. And I was using the help of GPT-4o now for this question because I merely just used that co-piloting app now. And if we are all just information structures trying to be decided in a society of modulated inputs, if the art is merely a glitch in the system or the last spark before the final software update of humanity. I was thinking to answer this ironic question. You don't have to.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understood what.
So I was feeling the whole lecture like that we are in front of just using some very powerful mega machine right now. And it just feels like we are updating ourselves and what will happen if we will be the last version of our, let's say the version 1 of simple human beings.
Yeah.
Because it's evolving so fast.
Yeah, so I think that this is the real problem. So the problem I think is that in this framework of this ontology of information, we are not able to conceive our future otherwise than as the development of these informational structures. So we see that the destiny of humanity is just the improvement of this technology to the end of the world in some way. So technology which is able to produce information without us, to recombining data maybe beyond the survival of the species, of the human species of Earth. No? So we think, okay, the whole history will be made by artificial intelligence, so in some way. So we set the machine, no, and it's done. So all the creative possibilities are included in the latent space. So no problem, it's done. And we are no more able to conceive ourselves as the subject of history, you know? So to conceive artificial intelligence as a cultural object in some way. So artificial intelligence is like an instrument that we made, and probably, hopefully, we can make another one, no? And make artificial intelligence appear obsolete in some way. So we think of it as the ultimate thing. We can go with it till forever, and we are no more able to imagine that it's just an instrument. We can produce another one together with another world, so with another vision of the world. So we are probably entering this new perspective of reality as information, and we think that it's necessary, but it's not. We can also have another perspective. No, for this, I think that, for example, in poetry or in literature or in art, you have a possibility, you know, of discovering that reality is different from what you thought it was. No, it appears differently. So the idea, I think, is to avoid thinking of artificial intelligence as the new subject of history, and to because we shouldn't abdicate this role of the subject of history. So we are the makers of the world, but be the makers of the world means also to transform the conception of the world. It doesn't just mean to go to progress in the same vision of the world, in the same tendency, but to make the tendency to bifurcate, yeah. So maybe artificial intelligence can be better than us if we stay in the same, under the same model, but we can change it.
Can I share something? There's no question, I just want to share something. And I was thinking, like, in terms of, like, you were sharing, like, what should artists do in this, in this time? And then I was thinking, like, you were bringing this notion of, like, ambiguity. And I was just recently at this Mori Art Museum in Tokyo, Japan, and the exhibition was like machine love, all the artists who are working AI and stuff. But I just found it interesting, like before you enter this exhibition, there's a huge wall of glossary. So where they explain every term. They explain deep learning, they explain machine learning. So people are just standing there even before they begin and go into the exhibition. They're just like figuring out what these terms mean. And I found that very interesting in the way, like, how even before you go to see these artworks, you have to see this description of so many terms, which only the curators thought it will be interesting because they have to define what is metaverse. They have to define what is deep learning even before, in fact, when the artists were not using these terms, they were just creating experiences. So I just found it interesting, like, how there's a tension between this.
Yeah. People are informed about the experience they will have. So.
Any additional questions? Otherwise, I would say we stop here. No? Or okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.